Hello, hello, hello. How you guys doing tonight? Hopefully everyone can hear me all right. Hi, Nana. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Matt. Hi, Sandra. Hi, Billy. Hi, Jeffrey. Hi, Debbie. Hi, Brandon. Hi, Bu. Hi, Eden. Hi, Matt. Hi, Pot. Or Pot. How you doing? Glenda. Jeffrey. Lisa. Brian. Billy. How you guys doing tonight? It's Tia. Lauren. How you guys doing? It's been crazy out there. Of course, everything I was talking about last night. It's like a game of Warzone out there, literally. Black Ops helicopter now flying into Ukraine, or flew to the Polish-Ukraine border last night. An unusual military activity in or around Ukraine is drawing specific attention to the prospects of a Russian invasion. Well, amazing. Yeah, and Teresa, how you guys doing tonight? Or Tracy and Roden. But like I was saying, more of this false flag operation stuff. With fears of course, the Kremlin high of soon invasion of Ukraine. They're saying it's not surprising the flight by the U.S. Army into Ukraine with a Black Hawk helicopter. I mean, this is ridiculous. And then, of course, if you look at all the news today, Ukraine border news, I mean, go to CNN right now, go to Fox, go to any channel you want. Russia added another 7,000 troops along the Ukraine border, despite claims of pullback. U.S. Navy had extreme close contact encounter with multiple Russian military jets over Mediterranean, within 5 feet of each other. Come on, all this stuff happens today. Come on, we're not stupid, are we? We've seen the writing on the wall. I mean, of course, the Kremlin is in fear of us trying to put missiles within Ukraine, but Black Hawk helicopter going to a checkpoint along the Polish-Ukrainian border last night drew significant attention on social media. It was almost like a clandestine bridge of spies feel to it, with a war zone. The war zone can now confirm that the helicopter was retrieving a U.S. service member assigned to the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine who was experiencing an unspecified medical emergency. Unspecified medical emergency. That's why we sent them there. Unspecified medical emergency. We sent a Black Ops helicopter in. Oh my goodness. It is ridiculous. It is ridiculous. And you can check it out. If you go to Flight Tracker online, the serial number for the plane or the call number for the call sign for the helicopter that flew in last night was EVA C01, which is EVAC 1 that flew. And it was around 11 p.m. local time last night that flew in. So if you want to check it out, this is real news. I mean, no matter what Biden wants to claim or anybody wants to claim, there was a helicopter that flew to the Polish-Ukraine border, and publicly available live camera feeds show the border crossing right there. What happened? It landed on the road and appeared to pick up an individual who crossed over from the Ukraine side. The helicopter was tracked by flying to a hospital in Poland, Polish city of Roseto. I can't even believe that. I don't believe anything the White House does at this point. But it was available on the last night. It was the total departure was 34 minutes from when the helicopter took off to the helicopter touched and returned to Rosa. It flew at only 1,100 feet, around 62 knots. Yeah. Flight Radar 24 has it on there. This is false flag after false flag going up. No, I don't know if MonkeyWorks covered this last night when it happened. I didn't even notice it when it happened. I was going back to flight logs and seeing U.S. military flight that was close to the Ukrainian border, which really concerned me. Biden's been lying his entire career, and now it's everywhere. I mean, Evergreen Intel, of course, is somebody I follow, so she did pick it up this morning. But it's ridiculous. And then stating that supposedly 14,000 troops moved away from the border, and now 7,000 went back to the border, is what they're claiming now. According to U.S. sources, a Russian military force amassed along the Ukraine border has increased by approximately 7,000 troops, the United States alleged Wednesday evening, despite claims from Moscow that they are pulling back. A senior U.S. administrative official said that the increase renders Russia's assertion of withdrawal false and warned Vladimir Putin public openness and diplomacy was a guise. We already know this. I mean, it's a joke. Germany is not stepping into this. Germany is not trying to get involved whatsoever. Of course, U.S. officials also said that every indication we have now they only mean to talk publicly, talk offers, make claims about de-escalation while privately mobilizing for war. New estimate of number of Russian forces in the north is around 150,000, Joe Biden cited in a television address earlier this week, plus the 7,000 that are joining them. So 157,000 now. Ridiculous. It's one thing after another. I mean, this false flag event, they keep claiming Russia's the one that's causing the false flag. We're feeding into rhetoric that's going to cause, it's no matter what, we're going to end up in a war, it's looking like. Because Biden, I think, really does truly want a war. And that's my opinion. Yeah, we definitely need some real live streamers over there. That's the problem. Yeah, Joe can't remember the last time he went to the bathroom. Joe Biden is not in control right now. Well, he's got those troops there because he doesn't want missiles. I mean, Putin has every right to not want missiles within 200 miles of his capital city, Moscow. NATO is aggressing. That's what Putin's saying on Twitter. If you look at a lot of Russian people, if you know anybody that lives in Russia, and ask them about what's happening, they'll tell you that Russia is not being the aggressor here, that it's on the other side. It's our side that is aggressing. We want to put missiles in there. We have no right to put missiles within 200 miles of their capital. None. I don't care who we are or what country we think we are. If they try to do it, if they try to put missiles within 200 miles of D.C., you can guarantee we'll be at war. How you doing, Elizabeth? How you doing, Corinne? Cash App? I didn't even see it. I'm sorry. Thank you for the donation to the Easter Fund. Thank you, Tia, for that $50 donation to the Easter Fund. We definitely appreciate that. Definitely needing more donations to Easter Fund. But it's getting scary out there because this is gonna go, gas prices are gonna go higher. And this is gonna be the ultimate test for Americans is what happens. Yeah, high speed missiles. Well, a missile defense system is what we want to put there. Let me make that clear because everybody doesn't understand. Andre, a missile defense system is what the U.S. wants to put there and the NATO wants to put there. And that missile defense system, I'm going to say it like that every time, missile defense system, because it can be used offensively by retipping warheads and launching within 5 minutes. It takes 5 minutes to retip one of those intercepts with a nuclear warhead. I'm going to get a some specialist down here. I'm going to try to get somebody on here to talk to you about it, but it's ridiculous. I've been told personally around 5 minutes it takes. What's happening? I don't believe anything our government tells us anymore. Russia's not denying they have troops there. That's the question. Russia is not denying they have troops there, and they're not denying why they have troops there. Russia's already said that they do not want Ukraine joining NATO, or because they do not want any missiles inside of Ukraine. Which I think, even if they were to join NATO, I think that should be a clause. The Ukraine crisis could drive prices, though, higher than 2014 or higher than any top point in the U.S. Of course, as tensions mount across the border of Ukraine, trade worldwide is starting to be impacted. Adding rise to global oil prices, causing more pain at the pump for Americans and everyone along the way. Gasoline prices are surging across America as we see what's facing us now. And it's sad. Oh, I don't know when we get to Hillary, we'll talk about that in a minute, but it's just ridiculous. News is just nothing more than puppets now. They're puppets for what's happening. The United States saying we'll see fuel costs on average around the United States around $6.41 a gallon. If this happens, $6.41 a gallon. At that point, you won't be able to pay for anything. You won't be able to afford anything. And why are we flying military planes where we know Russia was already doing military drills? International waters in the Mediterranean this weekend. Russia was already doing military drills there. Now the U.S. is flying planes within that military drill space purposely, I think, to see what that happen. And then the U.S. says the Russian described as the military maneuvers that Russia did were described as unsafe and unprofessional. Unsafe and unprofessional because we're flying our planes in where they're doing drills. Is it unsafe or unprofessional? Who's unsafe and unprofessional? That's the question. They're using propaganda to spread it to us, just like we claim other countries do all around the world. Yep, destroy the economy, start chaos. One world order. Supposedly there is a video of the incident, but Biden administration has yet to publicly acknowledge any details amid rising tensions with Russia. Just waiting to hear from anybody officially about this. But this is ridiculous. This whole thing, the Mediterranean thing, was definitely hundreds of miles away from Ukraine. They were committed. Russia has been doing stuff out there for a while. Just the Canadian banks are going offline. I heard about that. Canada's going crazy right now. If you don't know, they're pretty much martial or military or martial law. It's sad. But China's stepping in today, and China said today the U.S. is exacerbating Russia's threat to Ukraine, is exaggerating it drastically. China accused the U.S. of playing up the threat of warfare and creating tensions, as the U.S. President Joe Biden warned that more than 150,000 troops were still amassed near the Ukraine border following Moscow's announcement to partially pull back. The Western nations have suggested arms control and confidence-building steps to defuse the standoff, which has prompted them to urge citizens to leave Ukraine because an attack could come at any time. Russia has denied any plans to invade. Some hyping and disinformation by some Western countries will create turbulence and uncertainty in the world, full of challenges, intensity, and distress, Chinese foreign minister said today. We hope relevant parties will stop such disinformation campaigns and do more beneficial or benefit peace, mutual trust, and cooperation. Now, China has been criticized on its stance in Ukraine since the beginning from Western leaders, along with Prime Minister Scott Morris. But you got to ask yourself this question. Look at what's happening around the world. Around the world, look at what's happening. Yeah, and Russia asked for an escort, Gary. That's very important to point out. Yes, they did fly a plane near Israel. They had to fly over their airspace, and they asked for an escort before they did it. That needs to be commented because I want to make. I knew somebody was going to talk about that. Russia flew planes near Israel too. They asked for an escort ahead of time. They got no response. Today, finally, they got a response when the planes were almost there, and they got an escort. So it's really ridiculous at this point. It's ridiculous. I turn around and one thing after another, literally out there today. And I feel sorry for people out there in the world having to deal with this. For people that don't know what's happening. When is everything going to pop off? I think whenever they want. Now the January 6th committee wants visitor logs to the White House from the White House on January 6th. The January 6th committee has turned into the biggest witch hunt of all. Even though they have evidence to indict Hillary Clinton right now. Evidence that clearly shows what happened. With Hillary Clinton. Clear evidence in that report that came out. And nobody's doing anything about it. They're hammering Trump on every aspect they can, trying to find a way in, trying to find a way to break what happened. Nothing happened. It wasn't an insurrection. It was people that were mad and they did things that they shouldn't have done. End of story. There was not a planned assault on the Capitol. Yes, Biden did make a big mistake by not honoring executive privileges of Trump. Okay, executive privilege is not supposed to expire when you're no longer president. Anything that happened during your time of presidency is held under executive privilege. And that's a very good point, Billy. And that's the reason Trump did not go after Hillary Clinton or Bill Clinton or Obama. Because he knew it would open up White House documents that he did not think was appropriate. Yeah, and Susie, if it happens in Canada, it can definitely happen here. That's the sad part. Uh, it's sad because Trump didn't want to go in and pursue charges of Hillary Clinton because that means Obama's presidential the executive privilege would have to have been waived in order to get all those documents out to the public. And he didn't think that was appropriate. He didn't think executive privilege should be done like that. And of course, he was told it shouldn't be done like that. And then we look and see what's happening now, and now executive privilege just went out the window, which is going to turn around and hurt him. Going to hurt him big time. Yeah, if they can do this to Trump, they can do it to any American citizen. They can sit there and rip apart your life until they find a crime. Until they can find a crime. That means they can literally go through your every day. It's just sad. It is a sad day in America seeing what's happening. And Florida police officer gave drivers a website for paying traffic fines, and it directs them to pro-Trump merchandise. This is beautiful. They're not releasing their names or anything, but this is crazy. Of course, I don't know if you guys heard. Of course, Russia supposedly has hit cyber attacks on U.S. contracted military firms. Supposedly, but I haven't heard anything on the back channels. This is what somebody at the Pentagon has stated, that it is using cyber attacks against military contractors and Ukraine. Supposedly, Russia is doing this, but yet there's no public announcement whatsoever. None of the military contract companies have came forward with any kind of statement, and none of the back channels are live with it. I mean, most military contract companies do have back channel talking all the time. And none of the people that I know that are personally working for several contractors have heard of anything of this. Hadn't heard anything at this point. That's what I'm saying. If it was true, the U.S. would have solid evidence that they would go after Russia. And if that's what they're going to use as evidence, I mean, it's shady. Everything that's happening is shady right now. It's literally one thing after another. And watching people having to deal with this, it's just sad. It's just sad. We sent F-35s today. Well, right now we're sending F-35s to Germany. It just broke for NATO defense. It just officially, the information just got hit the circuit. So let's see what time they're actually leaving. active duty 388th and the reserves 419th Wing Fighters are heading to Germany right now. The F-32A Lightning II, the most advanced aircraft jet that the U.S. has, carrying out variety of missions, including deterrent aggression. But also, I'm not going to get into that. But yes, it can hold warheads. Is going to Germany. No, Russia said if war breaks out, that's what's going to end up happening. A war between two superpowers does not end any other way. I hate to tell you that. A war between two superpowers does not end any other way. Of course, the U.S. is sending 8 F-15s to Poland and 6 KC-135 shadow tankers to Ramstein-Ehrstein base as well, along with the F-35. So we got a reserve. No attack kit. We got the reserve forces of the 119. The 338 is already up in service. I've been called into action, so the reservists are going as well. This information is just coming through, so I'm getting information as I'm talking to you guys. So this is happening, and then we're blaming Russia for escalating. We're going to send F-35As there, which they are capable of carrying a nuclear warhead as a defensive plane. Sending Stratoforces to Russia, which are capable of heavy load transport. So 300-something soldiers or tanks or, of course, military helicopters and vehicles, all kinds of deployment capabilities of those. It's ridiculous. We are escalating. We are escalating at this point. Yeah. How many media outlets and the government conspired to push the fake Russian collusion story and lied to Americans every night for years? And then they say Russia is hitting us with cyber attacks. That's a false flag. That is a false flag. Unless there is proof or evidence, I don't want to see it no more. I don't want to see it anymore. It's almost like they want to lose 70% of the world's population. Almost. It's almost like they want to follow Agenda 21 to the T. It is sad. It is sad. Trying to figure out what's happening with our government, it drives me crazy. It drives me crazy every night now. House Oversight Committee, of course, defending U.S. allies against Russia and Eastern Europe, is having a hearing right now, House Oversight hearing, of what they're going to do. And I have not heard anything come out of the hearing yet. So they started around 4 o'clock today. The House Oversight Committee on defending U.S. allies against Russia and Eastern Europe. So once we hear anything about that, we will come live about it. But Russia is not backing down. They have 150,000 troops on the ground and just sent another 7,000. Gary, troop movement. I haven't seen any troop movement today, but yet they supposedly sent another 7,000. There's satellites that monitor that area constantly that are publicly available for you to look at. You can look at planes flying in and out no matter what country they're from. Luckily, because there's radar tracking systems that work throughout the globe. even in Russia. Yeah, thinking it was a button for warm milk. It's devastating. Russia has to look out for new LGBT army forces too. The committee's discussing what to do and how far we're willing to go to defend Eastern Europe. So once the House Oversight Committee finishes their thing, I want to go live with it right away. But once they're finished and they make their decisions, I'm going to go live with and talk about it because that's something that's very important of what's happening. I think there's a lot of propaganda happening, false flag information being pushed to the U.S. and being pushed to NATO nations to justify going in. I think Russia has every right to request that missiles not be placed anywhere within Ukraine, or any missile defense system we're claiming is what we're claiming we're trying to put there, that can be rearmed or retipped with nuclear missiles within 200 miles of Moscow. That's what we want to do. I don't know the exact number of American troops in Poland right now. I would go country by country, look up all the records of troop transfers. Gary, it's not just that simple. We don't have a total tally number that you can look at publicly. Democrats want the J story, 6 story to be in the news till midterms, and they're not going to stop. They pushed a false narrative with Trump and other candidates to support that. Yeah, to support everybody. Republicans are a danger to America. And Gary, tomorrow night, what I'll try to do is get numbers of troops we have deployed all across the European border right there, so we can actually get a number overall necessity. I know we actually technically have troops in Ukraine. They're not fighting forces; they're training forces, helping Ukraine's train, supposedly. But the number of those are ridiculous. You should be able to call in at any time, Susie. Want to call in? You should be able to call in at any time. You guys want to call in, of course, have a conversation. That's totally okay with me. Yeah, there's like 37,000 in South Korea. But yet we're out of South Korea. South Korea has a big enough military to defend itself now. Well, no. What Putin doesn't want is Ukraine joining NATO and us putting missile defense systems that could be retipped with nuclear warheads in Ukraine within 200 miles of their capital, which is every country has the right to feel secure. If we did that to somebody else, we'd be getting hell too. I mean, that's just the way it works. I mean, everybody has a right to feel secure in their country. And if we're trying to put a nuclear missile at 200 miles, a nuclear rocket, it wouldn't even have to be a missile. Yes, we did agree to a buffer zone in 1989. We did agree to that. But yet the U.S. and NATO are no longer agreeing to that buffer zone. And Russia has every right to be afraid of that. Everything you see in the news is Russia, Russia, Russia. U.S. NATO officials say they have seen no evidence that Russia has withdrawn any troops. And now they're claiming Russia has put troops in. No satellite imagery is being released. No confirmation of what they're saying. But yet satellite information is being released by Russia and other private companies. We don't need any kind of missiles or rocket systems within Ukraine. We don't. Very easily. That could be one. There could be a million reasons why. And it could be that there is something bigger that we're not seeing. It could be that Russia or the whole world is part of the Mondovian group and that we're not seeing it. I'm sure Newsmax talking about it. I sent up data to all the other channels that I know of earlier tonight. Just send it to them, seeing what they think about it, because this is really confusing to me at this point. To me, this is the biggest false flag operation I've ever seen carried out by the U.S. government. Knowingly or unknowingly, we're doing it. Whether we admit to knowing we're doing it or not. That's what I'm saying. Oh my goodness. And the planes we spent over there is the F-35A. If you guys don't know anything about it, please look up what it normally carries as a payload for its bombing sites. Not as a fighter, but look at what it carries as a payload for bombing. Very important because it's one of the few jets that we put over there right close to Moscow. I'm going to sign off here for tonight. God bless you guys. Be safe. I know there's a lot going on. As soon as the House finishes their meeting and then puts an open report out about what we're going to do to defend Europe and how far we'll go, the Oversight Committee, I will, of course, go live again and talk about it because it needs to be talked about and people need to know what the administration was going to have access to and what they're not going to have access to and how far we're willing to go in Eastern Europe. But good night. God bless you guys. God bless you. Pray for America, and God bless America. I don't care who our president is. We are still a great nation, and we can hang in there and do amazing things. If you guys can afford to donate, please do. We are raising money for Easter baskets for children in need. But God bless you. Have a wonderful night, and we'll see you tomorrow around 9:30 Eastern Standard Time.